And let's begin a new week of racing here at Lone Star Park at Grand Prairie. Beautiful weather. I'm Jim Byers along with Railbird Rodney Nelson. Rodney, welcome. Let's get on to the card. We're going to analyze the 8 races. We are endeavoring to get a couple of video races. We hope to bring those to you. But we will give our picks. And, Rodney, we've got a high five carryover, $5,124 coming right up in the first race. This one was going to be a video race, but Heart Attack, the 3, is scratched out of this first race. It's $15,000 claimers at a mile. And it's going to be interesting to see, I think, how the favorite performs in here, Space Mountain. I think I'm picking him, but there's a lot of negatives to Space Mountain, but I'm still picking him. Who do you like here in the
You know what? With the scratch of the 3, Heart Attack was the horse that I really liked in this spot. I'm going to go out on a limb and take one that's a long shot right here. That is your number 6 in Carlos Sixes. 17-1 right now on the board. Now, Carlos Sixes is one of those horses that seems to get claimed quite a bit. Seems to always be running, around this level. I mean, the last race he was in for 4,000, got claimed in that one. Barely missed the win in that one, missed by a neck. Race before that was in for $5,000, was claimed out of that one as well, was a winner of that race. Taking a little bit of step up to this $15,000 tag today, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice and try to get a long shot home in the first race. That is your number 6 in Carlos Sixes. Second selection, I'll go with that number 1A horse, Space Mountain. I think this looks like a really good horse. A winner last time out by 2 1/4. That was at the fairgrounds in a route race on the turf. Has spent a lot of time in Louisiana. You look back, there's some races at Churchill Downs, Indiana Grand as well. The horse has done pretty well over his lifetime. I mean, 8 career wins, has won getting close to $500,000, $422,000 this horse has won in a career. Has some wins on the turf. As a matter of fact, all 8 of those wins came on the turf. I think there's a lot to like about Space Mountain, but I think that the price on this horse is going to be a little bit too low for me to put on top. That's why I went with that long shot. And then my third choice here is going to be your number 5 in Valentine Street. This is a horse that was that's been going pretty good as of late, as well. I mean, last time out was in a $100,000 stakes race at Sam Houston. That was in a route on the turf. Finished 4th in that race, but the race before that was in for a tag of 12.5. That was at this 1 mile distance on the turf. Ran a solid second in that one, just missing by half a length. Basically was up there leading the race half the way around, but ended up getting caught close to the wire. I do think that Valentine Street can have a pretty good run here in the first. I've got it 6, 1A, and 5 here in the first.
The thing that is intriguing about him is, speaking of the 5, is that there isn't much speed in this race, and he's liable to lead a really long way. I still couldn't use him any higher than 3rd. I'm just not sure he's quite this good. But his effort in the Richard King was really good. I mean, 9 furlongs. He was only beaten 2.5 lengths by Sunlit Song, who's really, really good, and we're going to see him this weekend. But still in all, I went with Space Mountain. I listed 5 things about him that I think make him vulnerable. And by the way, his entry made astounding as scratch, so we don't have to worry about that. Space Mountain, number 1, he's drawn toward the outside, going just a mile on this turf. You really got to be best to win from out there. He might still be able to do it. He drops for Broberg, fresh off a claim. Not a startling maneuver for Carl, but he was claimed in late March, drops, and has only had 1 really lackluster work since the claim, which I'm granted he's an old pro. He probably doesn't need much work. The pace figures to be slow, and he's a closer. That's not in his favor, and he doesn't really have a style for this turf course. Still in all, if he runs his race, I think he's the best. He hits his lowest level probably ever, but certainly in a long time. I mean, he was in graded races just a year and a half ago. I'm going to stick with him. My second pick is, you've said it all, Asmussen Elliott. He just got dusted 2 races ago at the fairgrounds against Space Mountain. But he seems to be able to be competitive with everybody else. So that's how I'm looking at it here in the first. I'm a little chalky there in race number 1. On to the second race. Non-winners of 3 claimers. Scratch the 7, Ultimate Choice.
Yeah, I'm taking the horse that's on the rail. That's Shaken Silver here as my top selection in race number 2. I mean, this horse, all back through these past performances that I've got here in my book, right? I mean, all 6 lifetime races for this horse have all been pretty solid except for the debut. The last 2 races, this horse picked up the win in both of those, had 3 consecutive seconds before that. So this horse definitely knows where the finish line is, knows how to be in the front. that last race was at the $5,000 level. I mean, if you look before that, this horse was running against maidens the whole time before finally picking up that win. Horse has some speed. I think this horse can get out there in front and hopefully lead it gate to wire at a fairly decent price. That's your number 1, Shakin' Silver. Second choice, I'll take the number 2 horse, Miracle Hill. This is another horse that looks pretty good. I mean, this one's shipping in from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Usually, I like those horses that have been running Oaklawn early part of the year and then coming here to finish out the spring and the summer here at Lone Star Park. I think this is one to take a look at right here. You don't want to sleep on this 2 horse. I think if you're playing some some exotic wagers here, some multi-leg wagers, this is where to early pick 4 starts. I think you got to have Miracle Hill in there. Because this is one that you don't want to get beat by in those tickets, I believe.
Yeah.
But is my confidence there this horse is going to go and wire the field? No. I do like the horse, but I am going to take Shakin' Silver as my top choice. And then for my third selection, I'm going to go all the way on the outside, the number 8 with Continuum. This is another horse. Let's count out that last race. The horse was claimed for that one, so it's going to go to the barn for Frank Lucarelli for the first time. If you look at the races before that, before this horse got claimed, I mean, had some pretty good ones there. Had a good one back on the 20th of September at Churchill Downs. Was able to win that race by 3.5 lengths. That came at a sprint. The horse is sprinting again tonight. I think there might be something to look at in Continuum. Lane Luzzy on this horse tonight. He always can get his horses in a good spot in these races. I think 5-1 morning line on this horse. This is one that you want to look at right here.
I went ahead and went chalky again. I promise I'm not going to be totally chalky all night long, but I went with Miracle Hill. I think he probably needed that race here opening weekend, or not here, but over at Oaklawn, what was our opening weekend, April 24th. And he hadn't raced in, 14 months, and kind of looked like it. I mean, he was right up in the race and then completely backed out. Now he drops. I don't know. I think he's kind of vulnerable, but he's going to be a short price. I really couldn't get solidly behind anybody else. Let It Be, who has really good high speed. He has a really high time form, pace figure, and led for a while here opening weekend before fading. It was at this level. I think he's going to be a front-end factor to consider. I took him second in Eternal Force, the other Asmussen, or the Asmussen horse in here. Asmussen used to have Continuum. Continuum was favored on April 24th here. I didn't like him at all. I mean, he was coming off a layoff. I picked against him that day. He had been claimed out of his November 18th race. That was voided for a veterinary reason. So Steve kept him. Did lose him via the claim box. But Eternal Force, he comes out of a pretty decent race at Delta on March 24th. I had to put somebody third. I kind of like your Shakin' Silver, too. I mean, he faces non-Louisiana breds for the first time. We'll see how good he is here today, but, I mean, he's certainly been in really good form. On to the third. Start of the 6-shooter. Good carryover building in that wager, $78,728. This is a mile for veteran claimers.
I've got the number 6, Know Your Options, as my top selection here in race number 3. Last time out wasn't the best race for this horse. I mean, he ended up finishing 5th, was beaten by 6 3/4, but I'm going to draw a line through that one and take a look at the races before that. I mean, most of them coming right around this 1 mile distance. The horse has been able to pick up a couple wins here at this 1 mile distance out of 13 starts. Has some seconds and 4 thirds to go with it. It seems like this horse is able to hit the board almost every time that he steps foot out on the racetrack. I think this might be a good spot for Know Your Options tonight. I'm going to go ahead and take the 6 on top. Second choice will be your number 1 horse. That is Tiz Showbiz. This is a horse that finished second last time out, just beaten by a length and 3/4. Looked pretty good in that race. That was at a mile and a 16th, so another route. Had been sprinting before that. Always like those changes when you go from sprint races and to stretch it out into longer ones, or vice versa, going for the longer ones and cutting back. I think that last one at a mile and a 16th is going to help this horse out. I think that this horse is going to like routing again today. Reason I had this horse pick second instead of first, take a look at the record out here on our track. Has 4 starts, no wins out of those 4 starts, but 3 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and take Tiz Showbiz as my second to continue that trend. And then my third selection is going to be your number 4 horse, Close to Midnight. Another horse trained by Frank Lucarelli. He's sent some pretty good horses out here. Gutierrez gets the mount today. Last couple races, not too bad. I mean, this horse finished 4th last time out. Before that was a solid second. Both of those coming in route races. This horse has run against Know Your Dreams a few times, Know Your Options a few times. I think Know Your Options seems to get the best of Close to Midnight every time out, it seems like. So I'm going to have Close to Midnight as my third choice. I got it 6, 1, and 4 here in race number 3.
You know, I went ahead and took Tiz Showbiz, 10 years old. He was in a field of 8 last time here at the same level. Going a little bit farther, and he dueled with Rocco's Wheel, who's a 9-year-old. It was 19 years of age between the two of those old pros. And Tiz Showbiz ran pretty well. I mean, sat about a half length off of him all the way around, wound up losing by nearly 2 lengths. But I thought he ran a nice race, and there's no Rocco's Wheels in here, and this is a 15-time winner. I'm going to give him a nod over the fairly obvious favorite in the race, who I mean, Singin' Cryin' Dubai, the 3, he could win the race. He's not going to do it with me on his bandwagon. I mean, he's got tremendous high speed, but even last time at Oaklawn, okay, maybe the competition was a little better in that race, but still, he had a really long lead in that mile races there have that first finish line. They have a 16th of a mile shorter to go in the stretch, and he still just gave it up to Major Brown, who we've seen here run quite a bit. And I don't know. Singin' Cryin' Dubai is an old class horse, made almost $300,000. Like I say, you never really know what you're going to get with him. His numbers, vary widely. So I'm going to take him second and Close to Midnight third. On to the 4th. 5/8 on Turf. Scratch the 8 Hatchet Girl and scratch the 11 Arkansas Bling.
All right, here in race number 4, I'm taking your chalk in this one, I think. That's the number 6 in Prospera. I think this horse is moving into a good spot. I mean, she's had 3 starts, all of them in those maiden special weights. It's coming in here tonight for the tag for the first time. I think a little bit of class relief is going to help this horse out, and I think she can run big here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Prospera cross that finish line first. Second choice, I'm going to go with one that's a little bit of a shot. That's your number 9 horse, I'm Coming Over. Looks like you're on the same horse as your second choice, too. I think there's a lot to like about this horse. Rudy Guerra with the mount today. I mean, a solid second last time out. That was beaten by 3/4 of a length. They wanted to run this horse on the grass, was rained off of it last time, so I'm going to get to try our turf course here at Lone Star Park again, or for the first time. And I think that this horse might really like it out there on our grass. I think that I'm Coming Over is a pretty decent second choice and one that you might get some decent odds on. And then my third choice, I'll take the 10 horse. That is Cash Business. I mean, this horse finished second last time out by length. This is going to be the third start for this horse. Usually I don't pick horses coming from Turf Paradise. You know how I feel about Turf Paradise. I think I made my thoughts clear about that in the past. But we did see one the other day
I picked her.
Yeah,
she
was
went
like
10-1.
That's what I was going to say. She was double-digit
Best pick
odds.
I've ever had.
She probably won by 6 lengths or so. Looked good in that race. So with that last horse coming out of Turf Paradise and running well, I'm going to go ahead and take Cash Business and see if maybe things have changed out there in that Phoenix desert.
You know, it was the same connections, trainer Greg Green. We showed video of that horse, Shill Park, that won on Sunday, that won at 10-1 sprinting. But the difference is, and I have Cash Business 4th myself. I mean, I give her an outside shot with her high speed, but Shill Park had a lot better, in my opinion, quicker early speed than Cash Business. And Shill Park's last race was more impressive than Cash Business's, but I used to totally throw those horses out. I don't so much anymore. But, yeah, I'm on Prospera, too. I mean, first on Turf, the filly that beat her and some others, Okie Front, in that last race, came back to win at Will Rogers by 8.5 lengths in an allowance event since then. So that might have been a decent field. I'm going to take her over I'm Coming Over, who has dangerous speed. And then I took the 2 Cross Boss Lady as a third pick. On to the 5th. Let's go ahead and look at a video here for Texas Whirlwind. These are Texas-bred maidens. Now, this is 2 races ago. This isn't her most recent start. This is March 25th, Sam Houston. Texas Whirlwind is number 9 in this race. She's going to be wearing white silks. She's going to be in the 2-path. A real stretch duel here with Set the Pace, who has come back and won. So the horse we're focusing on is One Off the Rail. That's in the number 9 light blue turquoise saddle cloth, Texas Whirlwind. battles hard all the way to the finish, set the pace at the 16th here, is going to win this race. But look how the 9 continues to dig in, actually almost comes back on her a little bit. Set the pace has come out and run well here this meet. I don't think Texas Whirlwind is a cinch by any means, but against this bunch of maidens, I think Caldwell and Goncalves might make another trip to the winner's circle. I took her over Kitty's Queen and Crescendo Bling.
Yeah, I'm on Texas Whirlwind as well. That video we just watched, I mean, set the pace. The horse that won that race went on to win its next race. The horse that finished third in that race, Stone Fox, went to win his next race against Texas Whirlwind right here.
Yeah.
So Texas
and I'm
Whirlwind,
picking her this weekend. I'm picking Stone Fox in an upset on Sunday.
There we go. So
too.
Texas Whirlwind was sandwiched in between two next out winners. The third place horse came and beat this horse last out. Texas Whirlwind ran second in that one. I think this is the time for this horse to shine. J.R. Caldwell, he's had some pretty decent horses out here. He's been picking up some winners as of late as well. I think there was one the other day. I think Casey Tismoro was one of his that ended up catching a pretty decent ticket on in that race. So I'm on the J.R. Caldwell bandwagon right now. I'll take Texas Whirlwind as my top choice. Second pick, I'll take the horse that's on the inside rail. That's Kylie's Two Socks. I think this horse could have a good shot today. I'm counting out that last race where this horse was beaten by almost 15 lengths. Race before that, a solid second. That was in a maiden special weight at Sam Houston at 6 furlongs. So going to cut a little bit of distance off today in this race. But I think that this horse, 15-1, 2 on the morning line for Kylie's Two Socks. I think this is going to be a fun one to play here. And then my third selection, I went with the number 5 in Crescendo Bling. Couple consecutive thirds, both of them coming up in Hot Springs this year. I think moving down here, I talked about it earlier, those horses that move from Oaklawn over here to Lone Star Park, I always seem to give them a little bit of emphasis on my check marks here, so I'm going to take Crescendo Bling as my third pick here in the 5th.
Before we move on from this 5th, Velvet Chains, the 12, is Rick Lee's long shot pick today, and I bring that up because Velvet Chains has the same profile as a horse that I picked the other day named Tally the Money, who had been with Leroy Pollock and went to Danny Pish. Both Tally the Money and this horse had had one start that was totally forgettable, complete fiasco of a performance, but it was last year, layoff, first Lasix, first time Pish, Danny Sorensen. I couldn't use Velvet Chains higher than 4th, but Rick Lee is saying we're going to have another Tally the Money in this particular
Interesting.
race.
Definitely one to keep an eye on. Put a star by that one.
Yeah, we'll watch that. I'll be a little surprised if it repeats, but if that trend repeats, but you never can, you can't rule it out. On to the 6th. Mile and a 16th, good filly and mare allowance. I think you could talk up every mare in this race, and you could find holes in every single one of them as well. There's things I like and don't like about just about everybody in here.
Yeah, I'm on the horse that's on the rail. That's Clay's Moonstone. I was on this horse last time. Horse won the race. Got claimed last time out. Is going to go to Austin Gustafson for the first time. He always has some solid horses. He can get them in the right spot. Owners of this one, Horse Racing D. That's my friends over at Horse Racing D. They got a nice podcast. That's George Bryant and Aaron Ray and friends. I think George is actually on a plane right now to Baltimore to go to Preakness this weekend. So he's going to miss the first start of this horse. Hopefully he's going to catch us on the simulcast feed out there. But having that winner last time out at the 1 mile, I think this horse looked pretty solid in that race. Was able to kind of draw away a little bit at the end. I do like Clay's Moonstone. I think this horse can get the job done here tonight. Second choice, I went with the number 5 in Sandestin. Last time out, 10 1/4 was beaten, but take a look at the 4 races before that. All of them coming at the fairgrounds. Had a win, a couple thirds, and a second. So I like that. I think that Sandestin can be in the right spot. I'm just going to count a line through that last one. Hopefully that wasn't indicative of how this horse is going to perform in a route race, since this one's a mile and a 16th. But we'll go ahead and see. And then my third selection, I went with your number 4 horse, Tis One Fee. If you take a look 2 starts back at Sam Houston, this horse had a good shot at a race down there, finished second in that one. Ended up being disqualified or placed 4th in that race, but still was able to get up there and cross that finish line second. That was a pretty good size allowance race as well. We'll see if Tis One Fee can't get back to it and, make a difference here in race number 6.
What's interesting about her, and it took a little brief research, she's 7 years old, has run 41 times, never outside the state of Louisiana. She's been at every track, Fairgrounds, LAD, Delta, Evangeline. If Jefferson Downs were still running, she probably would have run there. So we'll see how she takes to Texas. I went with Sandestin. You could draw a line through that last race, but because the compete level certainly wasn't there in her first try stretching it out. But before you draw the line through it, remember that Miro Cap, the winner who won off by herself, is 3 for 6 lifetime and 2 for 3 this year, so she's pretty legit. And the third place runner, Powder River, just beat a entry-level allowance field at Churchill the day before the Kentucky Derby. So Powder River might be pretty decent. That probably was a pretty salty field. I'm guessing saltier than this one. She's trained well for Calhoun. Sandestin's my top pick. Shasta Lou's going to take a lot of money. Brief story about her. She was a $120,000 2-year-old in training purchase March of 2020. No, April of 2020. By March of 2021, the connections that apparently bought her for 120 had her in for a tag at Oaklawn. She got claimed for 30. So combined with the purse that she made, they made about half their money back. And Brad Cox had her, and they basically, I hate to say this, but kind of gave up on her, put her in for a tag. She broke her maiden that day, earned a huge Beyer fig, 76, which should romp over these. But I don't know what to make of her. Original Connection spent 6 figures for her, and then just less than a year later said, we'll take a $60,000 loss. I don't know if that sloppy track race for Shasta Lou last time was good or bad. She earned a high fig, but her compete level was non-existent. She might not have liked the slop. She might not have liked the level of competition. I don't know what to make of her. So I used her second. And I got your Clay's Moonstone third. So a lot of questions about that race.
I mean,
I'm mystified.
It's
by
a
race
5-horse
number 6.
field, but there's a lot of different ways that you can go in this one. I mean, everybody's going to be right around each other in the same odds. So, it's going to be a fun race. The sixth one. We'll see who wins it.
I've never had more questions about a 5-horse field before. On we go to the 7th. Non-winners of 2 claimers. Scratch the 7. True Brown Slough.
Yeah, I'm on the outside horse, number 8, Miss Falsetto. I think this is one of my multi-leg tickets. This could be a single for me in this spot right here. I think this horse can run pretty big here. Another one of those horses that's coming in from spending the spring at Oaklawn Park. Carl Broberg, the trainer on this horse, I mean, he always has some horses that can win out here. This horse was very competitive in Hot Springs this year. Last 2 races were both at 6 furlongs. Finished third in both of those races. Caught a muddy track 2 back, but last time this horse was out on the fast track, only lost by a length in that race. I think Miss Falsetto could get up there and take the 7th here. Second choice, I'm going to go with the number 4, Mom's Pass. This is a horse that spent a lot of time on the turf, so it's interesting to see this horse going to step on the dirt. Last time this horse was on the main track. Of course, that was rained off of the turf. That was scheduled at 1 mile distance, so we're going to cut back into that sprint again today, where this horse has had some success sprinting. Doesn't have a win at this 6 furlong distance, but at 5 furlongs, the horse has been all right. Has a couple seconds and some thirds. Has a win as well. Does have a win out here at Lone Star Park. You got to take a look back to last year for that one, and back in August. I think Mom's Pass can have a good run here. And then my third choice, I'm going with the number 6 horse in Omayo. Yeah, that'll be fun to call. We'll see how that turns out. But this is another one of those horses. I like those horses that seem to get claimed every so often. It means that people are reaching in there and they want this horse, right? They see something in it. They think if this horse can have a good run. I mean, this horse spent a lot of time out on the West Coast. Ended up getting claimed, getting taken to Hot Springs last year. Has only had 1 start so far in 2021. That came right out here at Lone Star Park. Finished 5th in that race. Was well beaten. But I'm always looking for that improvement from race 1 to race number 2 after a layoff. J.R. Caldwell seems to do well with his horses that he does that. I talked about him earlier, winning some races for me. I'm starting to pay a little bit more attention to him this year. He's got a smile on his face after winning those races, too. So I think could be a solid one to put in those exotic wagers here in race number 7.
Oh, I totally agree. She's blinkers on today. Now, she has worn blinkers before with modest success, but puts the blinkers back on off a pretty good effort last time. First after a 12-month layoff. His numbers are good with second off layoffs. I've got her second. Ms. Falsetto, to me, was an obvious pick. This is the type of race that Broberg, I think, wins a lot. The drop within the non-winners of 2 ranks with a filly that's going good. He put blinkers on her at Oaklawn. That was a good move. I think her performances seem to improve. So I went 8, 6, 4. I've got Mom's Pass as a third pick. We have video here in race number 8. To wrap it up, we're going to watch the 1 Radiant Kitten, who is the 1A in this race. This is from April 23rd right here. Now, it's going to show her in the past performances ahead back of the leader at the 8th pole, beaten by 5 by the favorite in that race, Life on the Road. Let's watch the race. Radiant Kitten on this day is the 1A, white silks, white cap. She's battling a filly named Laughing Latinos, who is on the inside, and Laughing Latinos came back to win a sprint race here. Now, Radiant Kitten's going to get by Laughing Latinos. Now, Life on the Road, the Asmussen horse here, is just going to go off and just, dust them. But I like the way Radiant Kitten hung on. I mean, she's got a filly coming at her from the outside. She just barely held her off. She beat Laughing Latinos, who came back and won last time. She picks up Cabrera, who's winning at a 43% clip in the couple of weeks that he's been riding here.
Right.
And he's already the second leading rider by wins, and he has about half the mounts of everybody else. So I think Radiant Kitten with early speed is going to be dangerous. 6-1 on the line. I've got her on top in this turf race to wrap it up over Oh My Aching Arch, the likely favorite, and Patriots War.
Yeah, you showed the video, Radiant Kitten. I've got the same horse on top
Good.
here in race number 8.
We got a winner then.
That's it.
When we agree, especially in the nightcap.
Sometimes it happens, right? But I like how this horse is making that switch. You saw in that video last time, seemed like 1 mile just was a little bit too long for this horse. So cutting back a half a furlong, going over to the turf course tonight, I think this is going to set up well for Radiant Kitten right here. I really like the 1 in this spot. Second choice, I went with the number 8, Oh My Aching Arch. The last couple races for this horse have been fairly decent. All of them coming on the turf. Had a 5 furlong race at Sam Houston back in March. Finished second in that one. Before that, routed at the Fairgrounds. Finished third in that race. I think this might be a good spot here for Oh My Aching Arch. And then my third selection, I'll go with a 10-1 morning line horse. That is your number 10, the Smart Call. 2 starts back, this horse was in a solid 6 furlong race at the Fairgrounds. Was well beaten in that one, but all the rest of this horse's past performances I have in here, dating back to November of 2020, you see hit on the board finishes in all of them. Most recently a third, a couple more thirds to go back with it back in 2020, a second as well at Churchill Downs in the last November. I think that Smart Call might be one to take a look at here. With some decent odds, maybe that super high 5 pays off with this horse in that top of them.
Yeah, that barn has been hot with front runners, and I think this horse is going to show some speed coming out of those sprints. I wouldn't overlook the 11 Revelator. Asmussen just got a maiden win on this turf course at this distance in his last start. Cola on the outside really takes the worst of it in the post draw, but Cola fits at this level. You got Ramon Vasquez on a speed type in the 2 Cintarosa Ranch. There's contention all over the place, and this is a really good last race. I think this, and then you got Oh My Aching Arch, who's the favorite, who's 1 for 16. I looked up his 1 win. It came at LAD 35-1 back in September of 2019. He could be good enough to win. His races have been decent, but this is a really good race.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one to end the night on. There's some other horses you didn't even touch. I think Patriots War, 15-1.
Yeah, well, I've got third in the.
Yeah, Scott Gilner trains this one. Lane Luzzy gets the mount. This horse was a winner 2 back at the Fairgrounds. Has had some trials on the turf and nothing really to show for it, but I don't know. There's a whole bunch. The 5 is another one that I could take a look. I can make a case for a ton of horses in this race. I think this is going to be a fun one, and I expect to see that toe board light up with some of these horses in this nightcap tonight. It definitely
could. With Patriots War, you got a horse that ran a 70 buyer at Keeneland just last October and ran 75 around Thanksgiving at Churchill. Now, those were main track races. Those were off the turfers, but so I just wrote tough when I handicapped this the other day.
They're all tough. Just write that on the front.
Yeah, they pretty much are. All right. Well, thanks as always for your insight. Thanks a lot to you for looking in, and good luck on your Thursday here at Lone Star Park.